took the night shift a couple years back, driving for a ride app. It's not a bad gig, honestly. There's a stretch between midnight and 4 where the city thins out and you can almost believe you're the only one awake. I like that part. That's when I drive up to the university zone, cluster of buildings at the top of a hill, kind of cut off from the rest of the city. There's a back corner up there. Barely a street, really. Just a strip of cracked pavement behind some admin building. It's where the garbage trucks turn around. Maybe 3 parking spots, a rusted guardrail at the edge. I go there to take a leak, stretch my legs, sometimes just to sit and watch the city lights. I've even napped there in summer with the windows down. It's that empty. Most nights nothing happens. I keep the engine running, leave the door open, step out, do what I need to do. I always check around before I get out. Habit, I guess. You don't leave your phone or bag on the seat where someone could just reach in. But up there, it's always quiet. Or it was. Last week, I think it was a Tuesday, maybe Wednesday. I'd been driving since 10, not many rides, just killing time. I pulled up to the usual spot, left the car running, stepped out. The air up there is colder than down in the city, even in spring. My breath looked solid in the headlights. I remember the sound of the engine idling, and nothing else. No wind, no birds, just the engine. I walked to the edge, past the bins, unzipped. I know, not glamorous, but it's what you do. I was halfway done when I caught a flicker at the corner of my eye. Not a sound, just movement. I turned, expecting, what, a fox, maybe a security guard? There's usually someone in a vest making rounds. But it wasn't that. There was a guy standing by the building, maybe 50 meters off, right at the edge where the light doesn't reach. He wasn't hiding, just standing there. Arms loose, head angled like he was listening. No vest, no jacket, no bag. Nothing in his hands. I thought maybe he was a student, someone out late, but he didn't move like that. He just stared. I zipped up, tried to act normal. I said something, just a hello, nothing special. His head didn't move. He started walking toward me, slow, not fast, not slow enough to be casual either. I remember thinking, he's not looking at the car, he's looking at me. My body did something before my brain caught up. I stopped peeing, zipped up, and started backing away. I could feel my jaw locking up, teeth grinding so hard my head hurt. My hands felt thick, like I'd been wearing gloves. I kept telling myself he was just a worker, maybe lost, maybe drunk. But he wasn't saying anything. He wasn't doing anything except closing the distance. I got to the car, door still open, engine still running. I slid in, slammed the lock down. The guy was 10 steps away, just standing there, arms at his sides. His face was in shadow, no expression, no sound. I didn't wait. I put it in drive and rolled out, door still half open. I don't remember pulling the seatbelt. I drove. I don't know how fast. My hands were shaking so bad the wheel felt slick. I kept checking the rear view. No one followed. The engine sounded wrong, like it was straining, even though I wasn't pushing it. I made it back to the main road, stopped under a streetlight, and just sat there. I could feel sweat cooling on my neck, shirt sticking to my back. I checked my phone after. No missed calls, no new rides. But in the notifications, there was a message from unknown. Just the word, wait. No number, no way to reply. I deleted it. I don't know when it came in. I haven't seen that guy again. But I still don't use that corner anymore. The guardrail up there is still bent where someone hit it years ago. That's the only thing that's ever looked out of place. Until now.
This was during the first winter lockdown, so January maybe? I was living alone, no car, nothing walkable except a boarded up post office and a bus stop that never had buses after dark. I'd just finished a double at the hospital. My hands still smelled like sanitizer even after 2 showers. I remember thinking I just needed to eat, sleep, and do it all again. That was the whole plan. I opened the fridge and found a bottle of ketchup, 3 eggs, and a half bag of spinach that had gone to liquid. I remember the way the fridge motor clicked on, that little whine it made, and how loud it sounded in the empty house. So I ordered groceries through an app, the one with the green logo, not that it matters. I ticked the box for contactless delivery. That was the rule anyway. I was halfway through microwaving some old rice when the knock came. Not the doorbell, an actual knock, flat and slow. The dog was already at the door, tail up, not barking, just watching. I called out through the letterbox, told the driver to leave the bag and step back. That was the protocol. I could hear my own voice echoing in the little vestibule. The guy outside didn't sound like any of the usual drivers. His voice was thin, almost metallic, and he said he had to hand me the bag directly. Something about alcohol in the order. I told him I hadn't ordered any. He insisted. I started to say it again, but my tongue felt heavy, like it was stuck to the roof of my mouth. I cracked the door. Just enough to see him, not enough for him to see me. He moved closer, put his hand on the handle, fingers splayed out, pressing against the paint. I jerked it shut and told him through the slot to leave the bag or I'd report him. My jaw was clenched so tight, my molars felt like they'd cracked. He finally put the bag down and stepped back, but when I opened the door again, he moved forward, phone out. The lens was aimed right at my face, not the groceries. He said in this flat, almost rehearsed way, "Pretty, very pretty." My scalp prickled. I slammed the door and locked it, double bolt. I watched from behind the curtains, barely breathing. He just stood there, pacing in a tight line by the curb, sometimes glancing at his phone, sometimes at the house. The dog started to whine, nails tapping on the laminate. I kept telling myself he was just waiting for another order, but every time I peeked, he hadn't moved. My phone buzzed, a message from the app. He said he'd left a bag in the car, asked me to come out and get it. I checked my order twice. Everything was there. I wrote back, said it wasn't mine. He replied right away, said he couldn't leave until I picked it up. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely type. He kept messaging, said I could just grab the bag from his passenger seat, that it would only take a second. He started repeating himself, begging almost. "Please, just come get it, please." The dog was growling now, low and constant. I could feel sweat pooling at the base of my neck. I told him, typed it out, hands slipping on the screen, that I'd heard what he said at the door, that I knew he was taking a picture of me, and that I was calling the police. He wrote back, "Police not come, pick up order and I leave." I was on the phone with dispatch, trying to keep my voice steady. The dog lost it, barking, body pressed to the door. The man outside wouldn't stop messaging. I remember the thump of my heart, the way my fingers kept missing the call button. My phone buzzed again. This time a text from my neighbor's husband. He'd heard the dog and the shouting. He asked if I was all right. I managed to type out what was happening. He came out barefoot, yelling across the street. The driver got in his car so fast the headlights barely caught him. The house was so quiet after. My neighbor and his wife came over, made tea. We waited for the police, but nobody showed. I sent the report through the app. The only thing I got back was an automated apology. I kept the chain on the door for weeks after that. There's still a faint scrape in the paint where his hand pressed down. I never figured out what he really wanted. I was 23, working a temp admin job in the city, and I didn't have a license then. It never seemed like a big deal. The buses ran late, the trains were close, and if I was in a rush, I'd just order a ride. I used the same app so much that the driver started to recognize me. Some would nod, a few would ask about my day, but mostly I kept my headphones on and let the city pass by in silence. That was the routine. It worked fine. I've replayed this particular ride more times than I can count, trying to remember if I missed something early on. It was a Tuesday. I remember because I wore the same navy sweater I always wore on Tuesdays, the one with a snag on the sleeve. My shift ended late, and I called a car from the curb outside the building. The driver's name was unfamiliar. That's all I thought about it at the time. The car pulled up, silver, a little battered, the kind of vehicle that blends into every block. I slid into the back seat, pressed my bag tight to my side. He was heavier set, maybe mid-30s, with a round face and a smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. He said hello, confirmed my address, and we started moving. I remember the hum of the engine more than anything he said at first. He kept glancing at me in the rear view. Not just a quick check, but every few seconds, eyes flicking up, holding for a moment. I brushed it off as nerves or habit. Maybe he was new. Then he said he'd picked me up before. That happens sometimes, I thought. The city's big, but not endless. I said, maybe, and looked out the window, counting the streetlights as they blurred by. The next thing he said, it was about my old job. Not the one I had now, but the one I'd left 4 years earlier. He asked, "You don't work at the gallery anymore, right?" I felt my tongue stick to the roof of my mouth. I hadn't mentioned that job, not to any driver, not out loud in years. I told myself maybe he'd overheard me talking on the phone once. Maybe he just had a good memory for faces. He started listing things. My hometown, the high school I went to, the college, what I was studying, even the number of siblings I had. He'd say it like he was confirming a grocery list. "You're from Oak Ridge, right? You went to Central High? 2 younger sisters?" I nodded each time and kept my eyes on the headrest in front of me, tracing the frayed stitching with my thumb. I kept thinking, maybe I'm misremembering. Maybe I told him all this once. But I don't think I ever did. The questions kept coming, sharper now. He wanted to know if I was seeing anyone, if I still lived with my roommate. He even used my roommate's first name. He asked where I liked to go out, what bars, what nights. I started answering with one word, or not at all, hoping he'd get bored. My jaw ached from clenching. I tried to remember if I'd locked the apartment door that morning. Telling myself it was just a weird coincidence. Or maybe he'd driven me before and remembered more than I did. But the details... They were too exact. I could feel sweat collecting at the base of my spine, even though the car was cold. He started complimenting me, saying my name was pretty, that I was beautiful, and that he hoped we'd get paired again. I pressed my knees together and counted my breaths until we turned onto my street. As we slowed in front of my building, he asked which door was mine. He said he didn't want me to get wet, but it wasn't raining. I pointed to my landlord's door, but he pulled up to mine anyway. He turned around, grinning, and said, "This is the longest ride we've taken together." He waited, watching me, before unlocking the doors. My hand fumbled for the latch. I stepped out, knees stiff, and walked around the side of the building, counting the cracks in the concrete. I waited behind the trash bins until I heard his car pull away. My fingers were numb. I couldn't remember if I'd said thank you or not. I went inside and locked the door, twice. My phone felt heavy in my hand. I reported him. The app had a person on the other end back then. They said he'd be blocked from picking me up, and they'd look into it. I sat on the floor, back against the radiator, and listened to the pipes knock. I kept waiting for footsteps in the hall, but none came. I moved out a few months later. I never saw him again. I still don't know how he knew all those things about me. Sometimes, when I get into a car now, I check the rear view. Not for the driver, but to see if I recognize myself in the reflection.